Okay, it's April. It's very nice outside.
Yes, indeed.
It is indeed. I am John Larson. I'm an assistant engineer at the AIM Institute. I work for this guy right there, Adam Haeder. Dave Thacker will, I guess he's showing up pretty soon.
Okay.
I just saw him on Google Plus saying he's going to be late.
Oh, cool.
So, let's see. I know George will have a comment about this. So GNOME 3.4 is out.
I won't make too many comments.
Supposedly addresses a lot of issues that people are having, right?
Yes. There's some new functions. One is the Documents, GNOME Documents program. So it shows you your local documents as well as like all your Google Docs in a array that you can just open from there.
I thought.
So if you already have your account
That's
paired with it, again the Contacts app has been updated as well, and they've cleaned up some of the look and feel of the windows. And Epiphany is no longer Epiphany; it's just web.
okay.
I use Epiphany for testing because it's outside the regular browser stuff that I use.
It's still like the Gecko rendering engine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is still what Firefox.
Well, it's WebKit.
Oh, it's WebKit. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not Gecko. Okay. Is any are there RPMs available, or is that still?
I was actually able to install the GNOME Documents on my Fedora box. It's in there, but it's not the full version that's coming in 17. Fedora 18 is going to be using TempFS for temp. And you made a good point about a lot of people having SSDs, and that's probably a good reason why people are switching over. Some of the major distros are going to be doing that. But var temp will still remain the user's preferred play area, unless you set up your own temp under your home directory. Which some people do. I do. But I don't clean it very well. Let's see.
I saw a thing earlier today that apparently the System D and UDEV projects are merging.
Really?
I didn't read any further than that. But
Interesting.
we still would love somebody to learn System D and then teach it to all of us if anybody's interested. I'm looking at you back there.
Maybe I'll get to that one day. Oh, he's the system tap guy. He's the.
Oh, I know. You can do more than one thing. How you doing, Aaron?
Good. How you doing?
I'm just fine.
Is the Ustream on? Because George was asking.
Yes.
It says recording. I can say hello, George.
Hi, George.
Who I hear watches on his Roku box. That's how he does his viewing. Let's see.
I just don't need to see Adam's belly that large on my TV.
On your 55-inch. Need that big to show up.
There was a little bit of a snag in the Raspberry Pi shipments. They have to be quality certified for distribution in Europe. So they're waiting for their certification. But they're in the UK.
Cool.
So that means they'll be able to be released. That's why the ship dates have been fluctuating from time to time.
So they're out of Foxconn and they're in the UK, huh?
Yep. Just a matter of time for them to ship back overseas to here,
Right.
and then the middle of the country for me. And Dave Thacker, who I think he ordered some. I know Jeff Hendricks did. So, April 17th and 18th, we have Infotech.
Dun, dun, dun.
If only we had a speaker.
We do. He's sitting right there.
What are you going to speak about?
When should I start getting my presentation ready for?
Yeah,
You got 2 weeks.
What was
worry
last
about it.
Saturday? World Backup Day.
It was.
We were talking about backups, right?
It was World Backup Day.
And Sunday would have
That's
been
funny
World
'cause our
Restore
backup
Day.
didn't work. April Fool's with a World Restore Day. That
That would have been too good.
Yeah.
think about that. I'll be doing it on backups in a medium-sized environment.
Ooh.
Disk-to-disk is not for IBM only now.
Oh, hey, there you go. So if you have a wish to go, there might be some kind of a code that an AIM employee might have.
Possibly.
Possibly. Great tell.
Yeah. Email one of us and I don't know how many I can hand out yet.
One day. I'm not going to be home the 17th, but I might be back. I'll be back.
You can certainly come for just one day. but you'll happily pay for both days. Sorry.
Nice. Second.
Sorry.
So there is some interesting things this year for the gifts. I personally held a 55-inch television today as part of the raffles that are going to be going on
Cool.
during lunch. As well
We
as
don't want something you've been reading.
it hasn't even been opened.
Oh, okay.
It's on his desk right now.
It's
He's
actually
using it
an
as a monitor.
LED, I think, TV. If I remember correctly. So those are some of the things as part of the 20th anniversary of the AIM Institute this year.
So,
Kind of
awesome.
bumped up.
Security breakfast, we taught it there?
Oh, thank you, Aaron. Yes. You want to plug that?
Is that the first? Is that second day?
Please.
That's the 17th, it's Tuesday.
The first day.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Tuesday. Do we have a link to
Jim
it?
O'Gorman's gonna be talking, it's 7:30 in the morning.
Schedule.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday, the 17th, it should be good. Jim, if you don't know Jim O'Gorman, he's a sharp guy. He's a big part of the Omaha Security Committee for a long time, works Continuum, all this stuff.
Tuesday.
Moved out east and is, just wrote a book on Metasploit, which is actually a really good book.
Yeah.
So.
Just got translated into Chinese. Did you follow his Twitter feed on that?
No.
He said, here you go, China. Metasploit book just got translated into Mandarin.
Wow.
So what time is the breakfast?
Oh, we need to have it on there.
That's
It's
why I
on.
was curious.
Oh.
It might be on the InfraGard side. I don't have it in Nebraska Sterling yet, because I was waiting to get some confirmations.
There's only
Okay.
a
Well, let me
person who
talk
works
to
on those
Cooper and I'll get him
databases.
in contact with you to make sure it gets on this. Yeah. But yeah, there's still seats left, so go to infotech.org and click on register. Should be fun. And you can even come here, Craig, talk in the infrastructure track.
Or
Which
can
day
just
are you
avoid that.
speaking, Craig?
Yeah, where did we put you?
Starts on Tuesday. Hold on.
It's Tuesday and Wednesday.
He's got to
He
check
starts
his
on
calendar.
I have it actually in my calendar, so I
Hold
don't
on,
forget.
it's right here. Infrastructure.
You're down for Thursday, right?
Yeah, I'm on Monday. Yeah.
Here we go, infrastructure.
1:45 on.
Your Tuesday at 1:45. Come on in, guys.
Hola.
Here's some examples of stuff we've got in the infrastructure track. Myself and Chris Russell at Google, we put together the infrastructure track. We got a guy from OPVD talking about their mobile solution, specifically how they're supporting all the different mobile devices on their network, both OPVD supplied and employee owned. Have some an ITAD presentation, IT asset disposition on the healthcare side from the Catholic Health Initiatives. Craig's going to talk about backups. We got a guy from Google coming in to talk about consumerization of IT, specifically like the bring your own device type stuff. We have a data center infrastructure management from Predictive Technology. I got a guy from Black Hills talking about virtual desktop, their VDI stuff. And then we're doing, and this is the fun one, we're doing the Infrastructure Quiz Bowl. We're going to have local tech people from around the area compete in a Quiz Bowl type competition around technical topics. So that should be a lot of fun.
You've already got those people laid out, right?
As far as you know. That's just the infrastructure track, and there's a bunch more. We've got, here's the other tracks. Yeah, those aren't as fun. I'm doing the infrastructure tracks, so that's a lot of fun. Here's the other ones, youth and IT. We are doing a lightning talks. We're trying to do a little bit like bar camp and some of those where anybody can just come up for I think we're doing 10 minutes and have the mic and talk about a topic of their choice, technology or otherwise. We plan on taping them and heckling them mercilessly, so hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. Dan has requested that we tape them and then play them back with the little Mystery Science Theater 3,000 characters down in the right-hand corner. I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Oh, gosh.
That get pulled.
So that's that. So that's coming up this month.
Okay.
John.
Adam's going to talk about PHP
All right.
MyEdit today.
I am indeed.
And there it is.
There it is.
Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome to some new faces. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Do we want to do a? Should we do the around thing again, or you think that's?
Oh, that's fine with me. We can run around once. Madam Haeder, I'm the CIO at AIM. You.
Noel Lyston.
I know.
Telephone company.
The telephone company.
Marnie
He's the
Elton.
phone
The
company.
one. The real telephone company. Marnie
Howard
Elton.
Telephone.
Mr. Craig.
Craig Wolf, Director at Heartland Family Service, Director of IT. Just a geek.
Just J-A-G. Just a geek.
Tom Fritz, I work with or for Novia. We're one of the last ISPs who just shut down all their DSL and dial-ups. So now I don't know what I'm
Is that a sad day or a happy day?
doing. Sort of a sad day.
Sort of a sad. It's kind of the end of an era. Huh?
When was it founded again? Was it
17 years ago,
95?
3 Sundays ago.
Wow. How many people ever use Novia as an ISP?
I remember.
Oh, I thought it'd be more than that. I sure think it did. And lots of people on it too.
And
I used UUCP with Novia at my bulletin board.
Wow, you are old, John.
I'm Zach Barnett. I'm a web software developer for Northrop Grumman.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Northrop Grumman down in Bellevue?
Yeah, Bellevue.
It's like a mile from my house.
Victor Sanchez, software engineer for Northrop.
Awesome.
so you guys know Paul Schleck?
Yes, sir.
Chad Holman?
We're sorry.
We're sorry.
He uses our shell
Services.
more than any other customer.
Okay, we'll just leave it at that. That's very interesting if you know exactly what
Every
Tom's company
road,
does.
security consultants, Nebraska cert, most of the hang out.
Cool.
Joe Galizia. I work for Skoll full-time and Geek part-time.
Oh, you're
I think
full-time.
geeky.
You're a full-time. Embrace it.
I'm the resident Linux user at Skoll.
Linux user. Okay, fair enough.
On the Sunday, I tag along to these every once in a blue moon.
Yep. Yes. I haven't seen you in a while. All right, my kids. Aaron, your turn. This is my daughter, Erin. She's a geek in training. And this is my son, Ethan, who is blocking us all out, as I'm sure some of you wish. He doesn't want to hear me talk for another hour. He's way too much at home. Yeah. I told him he had to turn the volume down in his video games. Go ahead.
Kelly is Sam's right to this thing.
Chauffeur.
Associated.
Sam is the only one who has a chauffeur here.
Yeah.
I'm Sam. I'm a student.
There you go.
I'm George Bruin. I'm a contractor working with Union Pacific.
The railroad. I met with your CIO this morning.
I'm John Larson, an assistant engineer at the AIM Institute.
All right, that's us. And we have watchers on Ustream. Hello. We have, for those of you new to OLUG, we've been around for a long time. This is our monthly meeting. We average about this many, sometimes fewer, sometimes more. Most of the activity happens on the mailing list. What do we get? 20, 30 messages? Well, that's probably a little high. How many daily messages we get on the mailing list? It kind of fluctuates.
Is the mail list working?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was going to ask.
The last
Did you,
I got was
I
like
sent
March
one out
17th.
today.
I haven't gotten any.
I haven't seen
It's
it.
the 16th, right?
Yeah, March 17th was the last one I got, but I went to the archive.
Well,
Brian, fix the mailing list. I don't know.
That's,
gonna
the,
say,
that's the
actually,
president's job.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen
What's
it.
that?
Go to olug.org. Mailing list is online.
You want to see the archives and see if it's there?
I think there's been like 2 that I haven't seen the messages, but
I have to sign in.
You have to look over here. Oh, there we go.
There's
wow.
John's.
Huh.
There's
well, look at March.
Dan's in April.
If you take a look at March, there was like a big gap after like the 17th.
This isn't by date.
Huh.
Short messages by date.
Saturday the 31st.
Yeah, there was a couple, but they didn't make it to the my mail box.
Okay, I don't know.
I didn't get an announcement about the meeting today.
Yeah, I didn't either.
No.
I don't have anything past 3/17, March 17th.
Yep, March 17th is a big day.
All right. Check that one out, huh?
I was wondering if I went and looked for
All right.
look for the,
Thanks, I didn't know that. Okay, what we're going to talk about tonight is a little open source PHP app called PHPMyEdit. It's been around a while. I've used it for, at least 5 years. And the theory behind this is that oftentimes we as sysadmins or programmers or whatever are asked to present some sort of a interface to an end user. Now this may be an external person, maybe an internal person, but a lot of times, in my role, a lot of the system stuff that I do and that requires data interaction between my coworkers is just sort of, I need you to manage this data source for me. I need to slap up a web interface so they can do it really easily, right? Now, what are my options there? Well, I could write something, what?
Throw it at John.
Call John, say, John, do this. Yes, that is actually option number 1. Option number 2, have it stored in some text file somewhere, and then write some Perl or some PHP weird stuff to, when they go there, authenticate them, and then pull the data out, present it to them, let them change it, write it back, all the things you think. It's one of those things that it sounds really easy, right? Oh, just throw a little web interface in it so I can edit this. And then you think of all the different things that are involved in doing it. And it's not impossible, but it's such a pain. And it's one of those things that it just feels like you recreate it over and over and over and over again. You're always reinventing the same thing. So, as opposed to text files, one of the things we can use is databases. These have been around a long time. Kind of on the sysadmin side, we should know a little bit about sort of the rudimentary ways that databases work. There's some really popular SQL databases out there right now. SQLite tends to be, there's a spot right up here. Tends to be a really popular one at the moment. It is a no server database. It's just a single file. It's very lightweight and fast. It gets embedded into a lot of things. PostgreSQL has been around a long time, probably one of the more popular kind of true RDBMSs in the open source world. And of course you've got the Oracles, the DB2s, and everything else. MySQL is also a pretty popular option. This has been around a long time. If you followed this in the news the last couple of years, they've had a lot of weird sort of licensing changes and who's in charge of this and who's doing what. And it's officially an Oracle product now, but then there's forks off it and
Maria is the official.
What is it?
MariaDB.
MariaDB is the official, true open source MySQL.
Monty's working on that one again.
Right, which is supposed to be whatever you decide to use. It's all still pretty much just referred to as MySQL, and so far anyway, they're all kind of compatible with each other. So, the idea for this project is back to that situation where you have some data that you want to give an end user the ability to maintain. To add, to change, to delete, whatever, but they're not going to learn how to use the command line. They're not going to learn how to program, right? You want to make this as easy as possible. Or you want to use it yourself, but you want to put some nice little things around it, like data, or like authentication, or changelog support, or input validation, or all this other kind of fun stuff that you can do, right? And so, sure, you can sit down with the empty VI screen and start coding it yourself. Or you can use PHPMyEdit, which is specifically for that. Like the website says, how many times you hand-coded a MySQL table editor in PHP, PHPMyEdit application provides an instant table editor. So this is really pretty simple. So what I've done here is I have an instance of MySQL on my desktop here. And this is just a Fedora 16 box with the stock RPMs of MySQL, Apache, and PHP, with the PHPMySQL add-on as well. And I'm using the MySQL Workbench, which you can get from dev.mysql.com as an interface, right? So I'm just attached to my localhost MySQL instance. The test database comes with it. I'm just going to create a table here as an example one that we can use. Let's come up with a scenario here. We're going to keep track of a list of users. All right? So we're going to call our table users. That's a pretty common thing to keep track of, right? And so what kind of fields do we need to store if we're keeping track of employees in a company, users on a system? What do we need? Give me one. Somebody. First name. Okay? First name. Last name.
Middle initial.
Okay? MI. What else?
Date created.
Fire date.
Date created. I like that one. Date created. That's a mystic approach.
Home directory?
Date fired. Okay. Go right to the get-go, sure.
Yeah.
Home dir, okay.
Shell?
Shell, sure, why not? Okay.
You kind of
Repeat
use
fire date.
UID, VID type thing?
Well, yeah, that's one question. I mean, anytime, and Aaron will be the first person to say this, I'm not a DBA of any stretch of the imagination. But when you're creating a table like this, one of the things, or I'm the first person to say that. What's our unique identifier here? You want to have some kind of a unique identifier in this table. Okay, it's probably not going to be first name, right? There's way too many Johns. We need some sort of an ID, right? Let's just call it ID. And we'll make this guy, we'll tell the database to manage this one for us. We'll make it automatically increment, and we'll make it unique, and this will be our index too, all right? We can add a bunch more. Let's just start with this. We don't need to get too crazy on this. So, when you create a table like this, we'll just call it users. We're just going to accept a lot of the defaults here because it doesn't really matter. If you want to mess around with different storage engines and collation types, you're more than welcome to. Okay, so now we start adding columns. We'll just do ID first. We're going to make it an int. We're going to check the primary key, the not null, and the AI for auto increment. So it puts a little key next to it so you know that's good. All right, first name, 45 characters is probably enough. last name. I actually know some people who have last name longer than 45 characters. But middle initial, we'll just do char1. Date created, we'll just do actual date there. Homedir. What should we do? What should Homedir be? Probably varchar, right?
Yeah.
We'll stick with varchar there. Shell, same thing. And that's it. Okay. So then we apply. We look at the SQL that it makes. That looks fine to me. Okay. Yay, it's done. All right. So what we can do now is we can select rows here, and we have exactly no data in here. But we can see our fields. So we just created a table. We then select star from test.users, and here's all our fields, and it's all null. There's nothing there. Okay. So we want someone to be able to maintain this data for us. So what we do now is we go to the PHPMyEdit site. We go to download, and we click this download link, which takes us to, this is the actual company that maintains this, Platon Technologies. It is GPL software. They do offer commercial support for it as well, though, so that's their business model around it. So they're trying to make money off that. So I downloaded it. I'm going to go to my shell here. Sure we can see that? Okay. So it downloaded to my normal directory here. So there's my tar gzip. Now, Fedora by default throws all the web stuff into var www.html. And this is just a base install of Apache. I have nothing on there at all. So I go to localhost, that's what I see. So I'm going to go to var www.html. There's the one thing I have in there. And I'm going to extract it. Get my nice big directory, right? And to make this a little bit easier so I don't have to type a million things, I'm going to move all this stuff into the top level directory. Okay. Okay, so this is the actual files that were in the package that I downloaded, the tar.gz, right? And the one that we really care about right now is this one called PHPMyEdit setup. And of course, Linux file systems are case sensitive, so it is important to remember that these are capitals. I don't know why they do that. It's sort of annoying, yeah. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm just going to go to localhost / PHPMyEdit setup. Okay, and assuming you've got PHP set up right and Apache set up right, you should see this. And it's asking you for authentication information so you can figure out what table you want to edit. Now, I'm not going to go into how to do all this stuff in MySQL. You know, ideally you don't want to be using the root login and password for MySQL in situations like this. I'm going to here just because this is a test account and I don't really care. So I'm going to put in the username of root. I'm going to put in the super secure password I created. And the database is called test. Now I could put the table name in here. If I don't and just hit submit, it'll say, okay, smarty pants, which table do you want? Hey, look, a table called users. It'll automatically scan the table. It says, please select an identifier from table users. This is really important. Now, on MySQL tables, really SQL tables in general, you don't have to have a unique identifier if you don't want one. This tool requires that you have one, because it's the only way it can identify the records atomically as you're going through these operations. So you have to identify something it can use as a primary key. So just if your data doesn't have that, just save yourself the trouble and add a field called ID to it and make it auto increment so you can use this. It'll be a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to submit that. So here's the final step. The script is going to be named users, and I'm just going to check a page header and a nice header and footer. You'll see what it looks like. Okay, submit. Okay, now what it actually did was it created a PHP page for me. I have the permissions set up so the directory that it's pulling this out of is actually writable by the Apache user. That may not be the case in your setup. In fact, it probably isn't. So you'll probably get an error here saying unable to write this file, but then it spits the whole thing out for you. So you just copy and paste it into your file. So it saved it as users.php because that's what I named it. So now I should just be able to go right to users.php, and there is the interface. Now, this is sort of an interface after my own heart. This is not the prettiest thing in the world, but it is very functional. Okay, it goes out of its way to sort of let you skin it, do your own CSS with it, whatever you want to do. It's just a PHP script, right? And we're going to look at the code here in a second. And it comes with some basic, colors. It's green and blue and whatever. So by all means, go ahead and edit this. So don't expect this to be super pretty. But it's a pretty simple interface. It's going to give you a list of everything in this table, of which currently there is nothing. Notice that these are all grayed out except add. So I'm going to go ahead and click add. And here are all the fields that we put in our table, right? And notice that these are specific to how big we made the fields. Like the middle initial, we made a char 1, so it knows to only make this 1. This was a date field, so it sized it accordingly. I believe these were all 45, so they're not all the way out to here, right? And again, this is just the defaults. I have not edited anything in this script, although we're going to in a second here. Date created. Now I actually have to give a valid date here. 04, April Fool's Day. Home dir home Adam H. Show bin bash.
Mail.
Save. Okay. Your URL always stays the page name.php. It's doing post operations to post back and forth. So it's one of those situations, and I'm sure you've been in before. Consider this a web application that has its own navigation. So try, if you can, to honor the application's navigation, because if you start using the back and forward buttons, you're going to screw yourself up, because it's posting a lot of data to move you through this interface. So try to honor this navigation if you can. So I have one record in here now, and if I go back to my MySQL workbench and redo my select, you'll see that there it is. And notice that I didn't put an ID in, right, but the SQL Server gave me an ID of number 1. I'm going to add one more. Let's say John Larson. His middle initial is Z. I don't think a lot of people knew that. Stands for Zebedee.
Zayas.
Zod. It's actually John Zod Larson. And so we have 2 records here. Pretty simple. But I mean, think about what we just did. We spent, what, maybe 90 seconds setting this up, and we've got a really simple web interface for maintaining data in a standard SQL table. Okay, and for a lot of things, you're done. I mean, that's all you need. Let's take a look at the actual file that got created, though. There's that users.php that got created, and let's see what some of our options are. Let's run Vim so we get some colors. Yay, colors. Okay. You can see here it's got a little bit of CSS in here. Feel free to include your own CSS to make it a little bit prettier. This is one of the rare open source projects that actually has, in my opinion, really good documentation. Not only in line in this file that you're going to be doing most of your editing, but the website itself it's great. I've been really impressed. And I've even had to dabble into the forums a few times and had a lot of good luck there too. So, oh no, everybody knows my test password is QWERTY. This generated file contains only a subset of a huge amount of objects to be used with PHPMyEdit, etc., etc. So here's all the basic stuff that we configured when we ran that setup script. The login information, what our key is, its type int, what field do we want to sort by default when the interface comes up, that might be useful. Oh, this is a good one too, number of records to display on the screen. By default, it only shows 15 at a time. That may not be enough for what you want, but I have this in place in a number of instances, and one of them is a customer list. And I just simply use it for my own, nobody else uses it except me, but I just find this interface a lot easier to use than constantly pulling up stupid MySQL connector and remembering the SQL commands. And for the longest time, I just wanted to show me everything, because I wanted to be able to see everything on one screen. But it got to be about 6,000 records, and it would take 20 seconds for the page to render. So I put this back to about 50, and then it just zips. And you just got to remember, it automatically does the pagination for you. You just got to remember that, oh, you're not seeing everything. If you put -1 there, you'll get them all. Now, this is the real fun stuff. This is where you really get the power of this interface. More so than just, this is where we start separating from, it's just a simple little web front end onto a SQL table. This is where you really start getting the power of this, is the permissions options that you can assign to this interface. Over and above whatever permissions you've got set on your database, right? I just gave it the root user and password, so theoretically do anything, right? But now we're going to limit it to what people can and can't do through this option here. And there's 2 different security models on this. There's a global one that affects the entire page as a whole, and then there's individual ones. We're going to see down here, every one of those fields has its own section. We can define specific rule sets for who can do what and what is visible and what's not visible for each one of those as well. So the default is add, change, copy, view, delete, and filter. Filter is a simple little search interface we'll look at. These are all enabled by default. So let's say I want to pare that back a little bit. And this interface I'm doing, I just want people to view this stuff. Because that's another thing this is useful for. It's not necessarily just for people editing stuff. It's a really nice display interface. I don't want add or copy or change. I want view, I don't want delete, and I do want filter. So I'm going to change that and save it. I'm going to go back here and reload the page. Okay, my add button is now grayed out. And these are selection options here, but notice that I cannot change, copy, delete. I can't do anything. All I can do is view. But one thing I still can do, and I didn't show this before, this little doohickey right here, you click on that, and it gives you little search bars under here. So you can have a filtered view of your data. And by default, it's doing a MySQL-like query, and it automatically puts the percent signs, which is the wildcard, on either side of your query. So I want everybody who's got, you know, DER in their last name. And it'll even show you current query, PME table 0, last name like. And it puts a star in there, but you know, it's actually percent sign. And then it filters it. And you can continue to filter on that. I'm just going to add another one here. And it just added to my filter, right? And then if I want to go back, I can just X that out and say remove that one. And I see all the data. So pretty slick little interface that you can throw at an end user. Say, hey, here's all the data. Oh, I only want to see, you know, I want to see data for this year. Okay, put 2012 in the date created. Oh, I only want to see, you know, A through F. Okay, you know, put a filter on last name. It's pretty easy to do. And you can control who has access to that by these lines right here. So I'm going to undo that so we get our permissions back. Okay, here's a few nice little things. Like notice at the bottom of every page it's showing how much server time it took. If you want to turn that off, you can say time equals false. You can show like it showed the query. You can turn that off if you want. You can disable sorting. By default, it lets you sort by these. So I click last name. It's going to sort by these are already all sorted. Yeah, it's already sorted. If I click it again, it'll reverse sort. So John's first there. Okay, we don't need to worry about that. Okay, now we get to the field definitions. So this is where you're adding a record, and we saw the add screen already. Let's look at a change screen. So I have this one selected, and I'm going to select change. So I'm editing, add them here. Notice that ID is a field, but I can't change it. It's grayed out because that's a database specific field, right? So I can't monkey with any of that, but I can edit all the rest of these. And the control, what I see here is set up. And these are all comments. Fields will be displayed left to right on the screen in the order in which they appear in this list. Here are some of the most used field options. So I'm going to go through and show you what this looks like. But one of the security stuff is here. So options. Optional parameter to control whether a field is displayed or not. So you can give it an L list, which means the field will show up on that first page in the display, but it won't show up when you're editing or adding one. F. Will it show up when you're filtering or not? So maybe you don't want somebody to filter by this. Only show up on add or change or copy. So you can do all kinds of fun stuff. And I'll give you an example after we're done here of a script I have in production where I've actually used some of this stuff to support the workflow we wanted around this. And it was actually really, really nice to be able to do this. So there's lots of options here. You can have it be a text area if you want bigger input. And then there's some plugins. We're not going to have time tonight to go through some of the plugins, but it's well documented on that platon.sk site. You can embed a WYSIWYG text editor. So if you want somebody to put in like rich text or HTML or something like that, they can use a WYSIWYG text editor when they're entering data. You can have a little calendar pop-up selector for dates so they don't have to remember the date format. It can pick it for them. So let's go down and look at these field definitions. Again, this was auto-created by that PHP setup script. So here's our first field. And it does this all in PHP arrays. So if you're familiar with PHP at all, this should make a little bit of sense to you. But the thing to remember is that this ops FDD is just the definition, the field definition, I think is what that stands for. What you really care about is these are the field names for your table. So if you created this file and then you go back afterwards and alter your SQL table, you'll have to go back and update this, either change the name or add new or remove or whatever. So this says the name is ID. Select is T. So if I go back up to the documentation here.
610.
What's that?
Select. Keep going. Two more down.
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 Oh, down. Sorry. Select right there. It's a text field. Sorry.
Military town.
There's the options. So AVCPDR. So that's add, change, copy, ABC, change, copy, delete, view. Read only. There's the R is read only. And D was, it says drop down. That's not going to, no, delete. I'm sorry, delete. But it's set to read only. So we can't do anything with it. Yeah, why doesn't it just say R? I don't know. Yes, I know. We could just say R there. That's true.
So if it has a field attributed W, does it, which indicates it's a password, according to the docs, what does that do to it?
When you do the input, it does stars for the inputs. Yep. Okay, so here's a text field. And again, if you don't give any options, like this field doesn't have the options variable, then it just assumes you see it all the time. So it defaults to everything. If you want to limit it, you have to put one in there. So we're not going to see any more options on here because we're not showing anything. But here's where you can make some of these names a little bit nicer, like when was this created? What is the home directory? And you can also do some little help here. Right here, this last option here, values description. The optional values description field allows the values displayed to the user to be different to those. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the right one at all. We'll talk about that in a second. Trim width, where is it? Select options, texture values. I may have to go to the documentation for that one. But there, I have it in my production one. I'll show it to you in a second here. But there's some there you can put some help in there to give people an idea of how to do it. So really, that's a pretty simple script, and then it's just calling this class file that was included with the package to actually generate to do all the logic. So I'll save this guy, and I go back here. I'm just going to load this page again and say change. Notice that my field names have updated here. Cancel. Okay, pretty simple. Let me walk through the documentation quick so you can get an idea of what some other things are possible here, and then we'll look at the production one I have and talk about what options are there. Okay, so on this Platon site, documentation, user HTML documentation. Okay, it goes through kind of all your options here in pretty good order. Talks about what the different things you can do, common option permissions, sorting, navigation, filters. I'm just scratching the surface of this. You can have it do all kinds of fun things. Some of the things I've used it for, you can have it, maybe you don't want it to show all the data in the table automatically when it comes up. You want it to be pre-filtered. You can assign a filter that's applied for every query. When you're giving someone an option to edit data or to enter data, maybe you want to give them a drop-down list of options. You can define those in the code itself, or you can say, hey, pull this drop-down list from this SQL table over here. So you can have somebody else maintain that table. So you've got, like the example I'll show you is a lead generation interface I created. And one of the drop-downs is, where did the salesperson get there? Where did this lead come from? And that's another table over here that I have a separate group of people maintaining because they're maintaining the lead generation list. They can update this guy, and then it automatically shows up on the lead generation edit form when our lead qualifying person's using it. That's some of the input restriction stuff. Oh, okay, the last thing, logging user actions. This is kind of a cool one too. Again, this is one of those things that sort of takes it a level above just a simple little interface on top of a MySQL table. You can log all user actions into a special change log table. You must have table created and specified for PHPMyEdit using the ops log table option. So if you create a table with these specs right here on your same MySQL server, then going back to that PHP file we're editing, if you add an option, log table equals, and then give it that table name, every single change that somebody does to your table through your interface will be logged as a unique line in this table. And so if they make a change, it'll show the old value and what the new value was changed to. It'll store date, timestamp. It'll store the IP address they came from. If you're doing HTTP authentication, like through Apache, it'll store their username. It'll store their remote username if you're doing that. So, from an auditing and a logging standpoint, this is a big deal. Because I know most of us have been in situations where we know data got changed, and we may even know when it was changed. But I'll be darned if we don't have any idea who did it, right? Who did that? Why did they change that? This changed 14 days ago? by admin.
Of course.
This gives you a little bit of an idea of how to go back in the past. So that's a pretty nice feature. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this one that I have in production here. So this is again, I didn't really spend a lot of time prettying this up. I slapped a nice little header on here. This is CareerLink one, so I put the CareerLink logo on there. I have put a little, again, this was just HTML I stuck in there. And although I already logged in here, I am using HTTP authentication on this page. I did have to put a username and password in to see this, and so that's being tracked. This is horizontally scrolling here, so I have quite a few fields on here. But the idea behind here is this is a list of leads that we get from like info group or something like that. And we dump them into here, and then we have a person who goes through and pre-qualifies all the leads. So they call these companies and they verify the information. Right, so here's kind of the basic info that we have on these people. And also, we can have anybody, let's say I'm walking down the street and I see that somebody's hiring. Oh, I want to get them on CareerLink. So I can go to this interface and I can say add. And I can put in their information here so that they can be pre-qualified and go through our sales process. And so here is the, this looks pretty similar to what we had before. A few differences. There actually is a help field here. So by defining one help field, I basically turn this page into 3 columns. Label name, data value, and help. I only have one text here, so this says, oh, this is annual sales in dollars. You can put whatever you want here. Here's my ID again, which is grayed out. And now, here's some drop-down stuff. So let me go here and edit this file so you can see what this looks like. Lead, whoops, what's it called? Pre-qualify leads, okay? All right, let's go up to the top here of the, I have a lot of fields in here. Let's go to the top of the field definition stuff.
You probably don't want to go all the way to the top with your password.
That's exactly right.
Come on, Adam, you can trust us.
No.
I think he does trust us. It's that whole screen thing.
It's George Neal I don't trust. Here we go. Okay. So here's the first. Let's see. Name. Yeah. Okay. Here's the first one. Company name. Pretty simple, right? Name, title. Okay. We also have an option here called URL, and this is used not in the data entry part, but in the display part. I'm going to cancel out of this and go back to the page. Notice here, these are all in blue. These are actually URLs. So from this interface, I can click on this, and it'll take me to whatever URL I define there. And you can use variable values, and just that value is pre-populated with whatever value is in there. Address, city. Okay, state. Here's an example of a drop-down. State over here is a drop-down, not a text entry. And here's how you do it. You say the select type is text. Oh, sorry, select type is text, but the values, and then you give it an array. And I have a default value of blank, because this can be blank, theoretically. And then all the different states, plus the military. Oh, and apparently I really liked AE. And all the military designations too.
Titan AE?
Yeah, I don't know. So that's a pretty easy way to do input filtering. Same thing here. Here's the different markets that we work in.
I'm looking for NB, I don't see it.
NB? I hate those New Brunswickians. Okay, the rest of this is
Well, they might put
company
this AQ
size.
for Huskers.
Okay, all pretty normal stuff. One thing here, okay, that was an example of just defining what your fields are from the selection list. You can also, do I do that here? Maybe I don't.
I'll figure out the mailing list problem.
Oh, good job.
Everybody is
Kung Fu
flagged
fighting?
for no mail.
Oh, that's no good.
Everybody's what?
Flag for no mail.
You're fired. Who did that? Probably
Okay.
admin.
I don't. and when did they do it?
We'll have an after-action report when this is done.
I don't have an example in here of pulling drop-down values from another table, but you can read the documentation. I just defined them all here. Okay, so notice now this is a relative. I mean, this is just one screen worth of data, right? So I'm going to cancel this. I don't want to add a new lead, but now I'm going to go and edit a lead. So the idea here is that after I add, anybody in the company can add a lead, but then we've got one guy whose job is to do the lead pre-qualification. So he goes through here, And he clicks, he doesn't add one, he edits all of these. And this interface has sort of, you can do it one of two ways. You either select the guy here and then say change, or these little graphic icons here do it as well. So like this one, if I hover over it, it says change. So if I click change here, notice now how many more fields I have. A lot more. And I'd find that in that file. And again, it was all with that options line for each one. I'm hiding them, right? Because what this is this is the script that we came up with that we want our pre-qualified guy to read. We want him to ask all these questions of these companies, you know, like this stuff. Do you use newspaper hiring? How effective is it? You know, what other newspaper do you use? Monster, Kruger? This is all the stuff we want to know before the salesperson calls them. Well, I'm not going to know that when I'm adding somebody, right? Or if I get some list from info. But this is what we get on the pre-qualification side. So he gets to edit, and it pre-populates with all the data that was then on the ad, but then he goes through and he fills in everything else. And then the way we currently have this work is at the very bottom, okay, oh, here's one more thing. Notice this qualified by. This is a drop-down, but only has one value in it, and this is pre-populated with the remote user that I'm logged in as. Because remember, I did that HTTP authentication on this page. So I'm tracking in the database itself who added the lead and who actually qualified the lead, because it's probably going to be two different people. And I'm doing that automatically. It's however you're logged in. So it integrates really nicely with your HTTP authentication. And then the way our process works is that it's up to the lead pre-qualification person to assign a status of this lead to hot, warm, cold, dead, or duplicate. And then I have another process running periodically that will hit the table that this is all stored in, pull out all the leads that are marked as hot, warm, or cold, and then upload them into our contact management system and assign them out through an algorithm that our salesperson or sales manager came up with. Assigns it out to the next salesperson in that market. And then I mark them as imported in the database. So this has worked pretty well. And you know, it took some time to set up, but my God, 1/10 of the time it would have taken me if I'd have done this from scratch. Just some of the logic around this. And you know, I'm literally editing one file to do all of this. It's really nice. There are some things, and I shouldn't say that I've used this for everything. I was actually in a situation about 2 years ago where I started out a project doing this, and I got about halfway through it, and I'm like, you know what, I can't do it. I can't make this work. I ended up having to scrap it and write my own from scratch. Just because the logic they wanted on the front end data import was just, they wanted a bunch of AJAX stuff here, and I was really, really trying to make it work, and I couldn't do it. So it's not the perfect tool. But for this kind of stuff, for just the idea of editing a SQL table with the nice add-ons of input validation, of user logging, authentication, essentially what amounts to column level security on your MySQL table. This is the only interface that you expose to your users to maintain this data. Then you're in complete control over who gets access to what, and then you utilize that change log to track data. I mean, you can with a lot of confidence go back and say, here's every change that was made to this guy, since day one. Here it all is. So hopefully you won't have any of those, oh my God, why did this change? When did it change? Who did that and why? And yeah, let's go back. Let me show you one more thing here. How I integrated the authentication with this. This is kind of handy. If you guys use HTTP authentication as opposed to like application level auth or something. And again, I just took advantage of the fact that this is PHP, and it's just all based off of what the value of these different variables are. So here we go. So I have a PHP array defined as admin users. I just put like half a dozen users in there, like me and John and a couple other people. See, I can do this kind of crap because we're small and there's only like 60 of us, right? And then I say the default options are AVF, which is add. Oh, hold on, I've got more here. Okay, so I've got two arrays. I've got valid users and admin users. So if you're in the valid users, you get add, change, view, and filter. If you're not in the valid users, you just get add, view, and filter, no change. But if you're an admin user, you get add, change, view, delete, and filter. And it's all just based off what this guy is. And so I just threw an array at the top. I'm scared to go up there because there's a password up there. I just added an array at the top, and then I just used the built-in PHP function called array search to identify that. Oh, and the last thing on that, here it is, added by. The values Remember, this is where you say, oh, you can only pick from here, right? Values, array, username. And username is defined as whatever, it's the remote underscore user server variable. So I'm saying this to drop down, and I'm giving you exactly one item to pick from. And you can't change it, because it's your username.
Why did you make it a drop down then?
Well, what could I have done? I guess I could have made it a text field, and I could have made it read only, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I did this like years ago. I don't remember why.
I was curious.
Yeah, I honestly don't know, George.
I was wondering if there was any logic, you know?
I know. Yeah, I guess maybe I tried to do that. Input, I don't know.
Input read only?
Yeah, I don't remember. You'd think I'd be able to say options
Change it and see
are
what
there.
happens.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, whoa. Oh, I make it that. Are you saying that read only, maybe database field has to be read only pre-populated?
No, it's separate from the database field.
Could it be because you do have it as an array?
I don't remember. Maybe it was something to do with the fact that I was, like you said, I am pre-populating on the front end, so maybe that change wasn't then going back to the database.
That might be.
I don't know. I can't change this. It's in Subversion. That'd be bad.
Oh, that's
That'd be
what I'm
bad,
guessing.
bad. Yeah. So that's it. As you can see, the pagination, I'm seeing one of page 37. There's 3,660 records in here. And I can jump right to a page. I can do all kinds of fun filtering. Oh, this actually says search. I don't know why. I can say search. Show me everybody in Omaha. And there are none.
Wow.
Yeah, this list is only Kansas City and Chattanooga, I think. So show me everybody in Missouri. There, and the records changed to 1965. So, and then I can sort on this. Oh, sort them all by market. Oh, do another search. Okay, you know, you get the point. So all the kind of ways you expect these type of interfaces to work, but all the stuff that's such a pain in the butt to code when you actually get down and do it at the low level. This just kind of does it all for you. And like I said, it's not perfect, but boy, I've really used it a lot. I've taken advantage of it quite a bit.
You know, I
and
think
it served me really well.
In some ways, it's a lot easier with this method than to get an ODBC connector and try to get a program to look just right.
Oh,
and
that, yeah.
You know,
threw up a little in my mouth just listening to you say that. Oh God, that'd just be awful. That'd just be awful.
but I want to use
This
this
is
cell. No.
This is so much easier. Yeah, this is really pretty easy. The documentation on the side is really good. They do commercial support if you need it.
One of these days, someone's going to see that and say, "Can we do it in Access instead?"
You do an access. Nope.
You can live on your little desert island of access.
Yeah. So that's it. Anybody have any questions? Pretty simple.
Yay!
Yeah, that's all. That's all there is to it.
Well, shall we hear about the list?
Yeah, give us a. What the heck did you break,
Well,
John?
it looks like the server was rebooted on the 17th.
By root?
Probably right.
By
And
admin?
the thing about it is, the two DNS servers in the resolve file no longer resolve. I tried to do queries against them and they would not answer my queries. So
Okay.
Postfix has been bouncing the messages back to Mailman.
Oh no.
Everyone's administration bit is set as bounced, no mail. I have since fixed the resolve file, restarted Postfix.
We just put different DNSs in there? Or what?
Yeah, well, it's on Linode, and
Yeah.
Linode has their own DNSs.
But those were the ones that weren't working?
No.
Oh, yeah.
They were...
So someone had
they
different
were,
ones in there?
Nice recovery.
Someone.
well,
Brian had different ones in there?
1040 253 2. Here's my guess.
She just watched that Big Bang Theory episode.
I had the app before that, though.
Yeah, it's a good.
My guess
Yeah,
is
yeah.
these are probably
Well, if it's 10net, it's got to be internal.
old E-frames.
Well, how did it ever work then?
Up until a certain date, it did work.
Yeah.
So they must
DNS
have.
servers were
They may have shut those down.
It's a 10net though. That's a private IP.
10 for well,
Yeah.
maybe he has.
What,
Maybe
some
he
weird
had an
VPN setup?
IPv6 tunnel.
Back to E-frame? He hasn't been there for
No,
years.
back to his house.
Oh,
Oh, Lord.
who knows?
And Cox
what we
changed
like.
his IP. Oh,
That's what we like.
And everything goes out.
Just keep it simple.
That's fair.
Just keep it
Well,
simple.
it's better than my theory, because up to this point, I've seen March 17th. Oh, St. Patrick's Day.
There is an
There's beer all over the
there's
server.
an IPv6 address.
Yeah, he did that. He did that a year or so ago when he did the
Yeah, it's got the
IPv6 stuff.
website. Look down the bottom, it says IPv6.
We keep saying he, you guys. The president of OLUG is Brian Robertson, and he runs the mailing list and he runs the server, and he doesn't often grace us with his presence at meetings. So we give him endless crap about it.
Sends random.
So there are 200.
He's pretty active on the mailing list.
There are 285 members who cannot receive mail.
He's at West. He's at one of the senior network guys at West. He started OLUG, God,
90s, mid 90s.
15 years ago. Yeah.
Slacker.
Okie dokie.
He's old like us. Okay. Okay, we're still looking for topics for next month. Some of the recommendations we had for last month, if anybody wants to step up, is UDEV and System D. That still hasn't been covered by anybody.
System Tap, BTRFS.
System Tap, BTRFS was another good one. Yeah. I wouldn't mind if somebody really wants to going through a kernel 3.0 compilation. I'm a little ashamed to admit I haven't actually compiled a kernel since 2.4. So I wouldn't mind going through that.
You're missing.
Well, that's kind of how I feel too. But I gotta know that.
Just go to compiling X. Just a way of,
I go get a coffee.
Yeah,
come back.
Coffee.
It says failed. So think about some other stuff. If you have any recommendations for topics, put them out on the list, and we'll figure some stuff out. I guess you guys probably didn't get that email. I sent a couple update emails to the list last couple weeks. About XBMC, I talked about XBMC last month, and I did a little more playing around with it. I found a couple of really nice third-party repositories. I can do a Hulu and Amazon video on it really well right now. And there's some other pretty nice ones too. The one I was messing around with is the plugin is actually called Free Cable. And what the guy just did was he went to like CBS.com. He went to all of them that offered their streaming shows. It's no different than like a private Roku channel. That's what like the Nowhere TV private Roku channel. This guy just went and found all these publicly available RSS feeds of these videos and packaged them all to Roku channel. Well, this guy did the same thing just with an XBMC plugin. So you just go to CBS and you see what all, and it's just the same shows they have on their site. Sweet. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. The ESPN one actually works a lot better than the stock ESPN one that came with XBMC. So.
Oops, it's going right into your mail. Okay.
Cool.
You see this message? It says confirm. You should all get a copy of this message. You need to click this and it will re-enable your mail. Man.
We're going to lose 3/4 of our subscribers because they actually have to do something.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah. This is the purge. Let's do this once a year.
So I will click on yours.
We're going to do this once a year.
Now,
This sounds like the guys I work
Kevin Snodgrass has already done it because he's posted to the list.
He had.
So
That's how we troubleshoot upstairs. We just say, I'm going to break this.
What's
I'm
on
going to see
that
how
server?
I'm going to
Just
know
turn
it's
it
broken as soon as my phone starts ringing. Did it work? Is your phone ringing? Oh, we'll leave that page up, John. A lot of you guys use Gmail, right? Some
Yes.
form of
Yeah,
that, right?
Oh.
Check out this plugin. I've been really happy with this lately. It's called Smarter, S-M-A-R-T-R. And the company is like Zenobi with an X or something really goofy. But just search for like Smarter Gmail. And it gives you this little sidebar over here, and it reads all of your contacts and the from and to of emails, and it shows you, it tries to connect to their Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn pages. So if I go to my mail, oh wow, look at all those bounces. Let's see. Here we go. Here's one from my friend Sue. So it says Sue Benson, and it looked up, the little icon is in, it looked up her info on LinkedIn. So it says, oh, co-owner of You Help You Save Remodeling. Here's her last Facebook update. Here's her last Twitter, and there's LinkedIn info. It's pretty cool. I've been pretty happy with it.
And there's also a app for your phone too, isn't
Yes. And then also when I do a compose, it adds to this too. So I start typing SUS. Now normally this would just pull from like your contacts, right? But now it pulls from all of my Facebook people, all of my LinkedIn people, all of my Twitter people, and it offers them all right there.
it? All your peoples?
All my peepsies. Yeah. So I've been pretty happy with it.
I
Works
better
really
not
well.
email the list and say, accept the confirmation. Well, it's taking care of itself, so that's what's important.
I'm a W, so it's going to take a while. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Well, hopefully look for an email after you all click the renew your membership. Look for an email from the list. We'll send out infotech updates. Aaron, I will check on that security breakfast notification here tomorrow and make sure that gets on the site.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that got.
Yeah, if you take care of your side.
I will. I'm sorry that got overlooked. I should have checked on that after the last cybersecurity forum meeting. Speaking of that, when's the next CSF?
It'll be May.
Okay. So May.
Because the breakfast takes place of
the third
Wednesday of May.
Third Wednesday of May is the cybersecurity forum hosted by our good friend Aaron in the back there. It's held at Johnny's Steakhouse down on 25th and L. It's always a good time. It's an interesting group. It's security specific topics. Do we know what the topic is for May yet?
I'm trying to get Steve to get some of the students to come talk about the last capture the flag and how we got our ass kicked.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Well,
not the ass kicking part, but just yeah.
That's just a bonus.
That'd be really. I'd really love to hear about that. That'd be really neat. Okay. Okay. If nobody's got anything else, that's the official end of the meeting. Thanks for coming. If you'd like, we can go next door to Bishop's Barn Grill to continue. I am going to be taking my children home. Hi, kids. Time to go home. I know you've been so engaged. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, Adam.
Have a good one.
Before everybody bugs out, I have some free stuff.
Oh, that's right. Tom's got swag. Tom has got swag. Oh, speaking of free stuff, Sam Pledge. I have a bookshelf of books at home. If you want them. I meant to bring them in tonight, and I totally forgot. Come over sometime and take what you want, and I'll throw the rest away.
By the way, I think I found your copy of the K&R at a Goodwill.
You told me that. Keep it. It's yours. I think I bought that in college and then gave it to Goodwill years ago.
Anybody want a SCSI card?
Whoa, Scuzzy. That thing's still around. You got a permit for that?
Thanks for doing that, Adam.
Yeah.
I missed all.
Greg, your wife does not want you bringing home any more crap.
Actually, you know what?
It's a Cisco.
They're getting junked.
The DSL. And we've got a number of DSLs in the company.
Oh, the 800? I remember these.
Wait a minute.
This was the step above the Cisco 620s?
We have
610s and 620s.
We have one upstairs in the 5th floor storeroom.
No,
that's our
was it
backup.
620? Which one did Code Red take out? Remember Code Red back in 2001?
615s.
The 615s? It was a Novia DSL router.
There was that's the same router we've got upstairs that's still plugged into the DSL.
Yeah,
we have a spare.
The fax line's running through it, right? Isn't the fax line?
Well, the faxes.
The
faxes are all separate, but
we used to run the fax line through.
I'm actually.
All right, Sam found some hard drives.
I'm moving all of our long distance to Cox over the next 2 weeks. 10,000 minutes for
Thanks for watching.
$275 a month.
Oh my!
And that includes